My current research project is funded by the ARC through the Discovery Scheme. I'm very excited about this particular project because I'm working in partnership with a colleague from the University of California at Fullerton, Associate Professor Kath Glaswell, and a colleague at the National University of Singapore, Assistant Professor Lionel Lim. This particular project builds on a large-scale project we had, which was also funded by the ARC under the Linkage scheme. And what we are trying to do in this project is a co-enquiry model, working with teachers to address the learning attainment of students who are not doing very well, particularly in reading comprehension. And the schools that we work with are usually in low socioeconomic communities, because in these communities, a lot of the students have not been performing very well in the NAPLAN tests, and teachers have explicitly asked for assistance in trying to address some of these problems of improving learning attainment. With educational research work, the issue of benefit is really important to us. And with the kind of work that we've been doing, ultimately we want the students to benefit. We're quite concerned that while Australia has got a very high quality education system, the gap between those students who are doing very well and the students who are not doing very well, particularly students who are living in low socioeconomic communities, is widening. It in fact is not decreasing. And this is despite the fact that there's been multiple interventions by the federal government and the state government to try to address this learning gap. So we're particularly interested in trying to work in a different approach with the research, not to actually do research on schools, but to work in partnership with teachers, with school leaders and with local communities, because it's really those local communities who best know their students, but often they don't have the time or the space to acquire the kind of latest research knowledge, and we're in a capacity to help teachers with co-problem solving to address these problems. I became involved in doing this kind of research because of my own personal experiences in schooling. I was very fortunate to have very good teachers in primary school and high school who made an enormous difference on me. And then I myself went on to become a primary school teacher, really enjoyed that work, and then did a PhD. But I found that children who often come from poorer backgrounds, education can make a huge difference in their lives. And I felt that I had benefited from the work of other teachers, and I wanted to see if I could make some kind of contribution. I was also very fortunate that when I was working on my own doctoral studies, I got to work with one of the most famous sociologists of education at that time, Professor Basil Bernstein. And I worked with him from 1989 to when he died in the year 2000. He was based at the Institute of Education, University of London, and now there's a whole team of international scholars who are building and extending the sociology of Basil Bernstein, and I'm part of that international network. In addition to being a part of that network, I'm also part of a network on addressing issues of schooling and poverty, not only in Australia at a national level, but this network extends across to the UK, through Europe and through the USA. So there's a very strong, committed international group of scholars trying to address very complex problems of poverty and schooling, and I'm very fortunate to work with that group. The challenges for me of doing this kind of research work is that I've been working in this area for nearly 20 years, and yet the problem of educational inequality remains. So what we've had to try and do as a team of researchers is really listen attentively to the students, to the teachers, to the school leaders, to members in the local community, and try to understand the complexity of what's going on in these local communities. We've also tried to think about how we can redesign our own research methods in order to pass that knowledge on respectfully to the local communities.